Once upon a time, in a busy town full of noise and traffic, there lived a young girl named Favor. She was not like other girls. Favor was only 23 years old, but she was already running 3 different businesses. She sold clothes, she baked cakes, and she even had a small salon where she fixed people's hair. Everyone in the neighborhood knew her. She's a very hardworking girl, people would say. She doesn't joke with her money, others would add. Favor was beautiful too. Her smile could light up a room, and her laughter sounded like music. But more than her beauty, Favor was kind. She helped her younger siblings with school fees. She gave food to neighbors who were hungry. She was the kind of girl every mother prayed for. But Favor had a weakness, love. One day, while she was at the bank to deposit money, she saw a young man. He looked calm and quiet. He wore a fine shirt and expensive wristwatch. His name was Emmanuel. "Hello," he said with a soft voice. "You look familiar. Are you the one that sells cakes near the roundabout?" Favor smiled. "Yes, that's me." That was how it all started. From that day, Emmanuel started visiting Favor's shop. He would buy meat pie, drink malt, and stay to talk with her. He didn't talk much, but when he did, his words were sweet. "I like hard-working girls," he said one day. Favor's heart jumped. She blushed and looked down. Before long, they started dating. He told her, "My father is rich. I just don't like using his money. I want to hustle on my own." Favor believed him. Why wouldn't she? Emmanuel always wore nice clothes, used iPhone, and came in different cars. She didn't know the cars were borrowed. She didn't know the wristwatch was fake. She didn't know the man she loved was not who he said he was. Months passed, and the love grew deeper. Favor took Emmanuel to meet her family. Her parents liked him because he was quiet and respectful. Her siblings danced and laughed during the introduction party. It was a big event. There was plenty of food. Jollof rice, egusi soup, pounded yam. There were drinks, malt, Fanta, Coke. There was music too, loud and sweet. But here was the truth: Favor paid for everything. The chairs, the canopy, the food, even Emmanuel's clothes. Favor used her money to make everything happen. "I'll pay you back soon," Emmanuel whispered to her that night. Favor smiled. "Don't worry, baby. I'm doing it because I love you." She meant it. She didn't even feel the pain. Love had blinded her. A week after the introduction, Emmanuel said, "I found a house. A new apartment. Let's move in together." Favor was so happy. She didn't even ask how he got money for the rent. When she told her parents, her mother said, "My daughter, wait until he pays your dowry. It's not good to live with a man who hasn't married you fully." But Favor said, "Mama, I know what I'm doing." Her father warned her, if he loves you, he will do the right thing. But Favor didn't listen. She started ignoring their calls. When her mother sent her messages, Favor didn't reply. Even her sisters said, "You've changed. You only listen to Emmanuel now." Still, she didn't care. Emmanuel became her world. She washed his clothes. She cooked his meals. She helped him look for jobs online. She believed he was just struggling, and that one day, they would both become rich. But Favor didn't know that storm was coming. One morning, her mother knocked on the door. Favor opened, looking tired. "My daughter," her mother said gently, "you don't pick my calls anymore." "Mama, I've just been busy," Favor lied. Her mother sighed. "Don't forget who you are. Don't lose yourself in love." But Favor thought she knew what she was doing. What she didn't know was that Emmanuel was already planning his first big lie. At night, while Favor was sleeping, Emmanuel was chatting with another lady named Victoria. Victoria worked in a bank. She had money, and Emmanuel liked money. He told Victoria, I want to marry you. I just need 600,000 Nigerian nairas to settle my rent and business. Victoria, thinking she had found a good man, sent the money. He smiled to himself. Women are so easy, he whispered. When Favor asked, where did you get money to buy that new phone, he said, my uncle sent it from abroad. And Favor believed him. She was too in love to see the signs. Even though Emmanuel didn't work, didn't pay rent, and didn't return the money Favor spent on the introduction, she still stayed. She was the one buying food. She was the one paying bills. She was the one carrying all the load. Still, she told herself, he would change one day. But change was far. Dark clouds were forming. And soon, rain would fall. She woke up early every morning to clean the house and make food. She arranged Emmanuel's clothes, ironed his shirts, and even brushed his shoes. She believed that love meant doing everything for your man. But deep inside, Favor was tired. She was the one paying rent. She was the one buying food. She was the one working day and night. Emmanuel still had no job. He would sit at home, pressing his phone, or sleeping all day. When Favor talked to him, he would say, don't worry, things will change. But they never did. One Sunday, her younger sister sent her a message. Favor, Mama is sick. Please call her. Favor saw the message but ignored it. Another day, her brother called 3 times. She didn't pick up. Her family was worried. Her mother cried at night and said, this is not my daughter. Favor would never treat us like this. But Favor had blocked out every voice except Emmanuel's. She believed in him more than in her own blood. Then, one evening, something strange happened. It was around 7 p.m. Favor was frying plantain in the kitchen when a loud knock came on the door. Bang! 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 Open up, a deep voice shouted. Favor opened the door and froze. 3 police officers stood outside with a woman behind them. It was Victoria, the lady from the bank. Her eyes were red and full of anger. Where is Emmanuel? She shouted. Favor was confused. He's not home. What is going on? One of the officers stepped forward. He scammed this lady. He collected 600,000 Nigerian nairas from her and promised marriage. Favor's mouth opened wide. What? He stopped picking my calls after taking the money. Victoria screamed. I gave him 3 months to pay back. It's now 5. The police looked around and said, since he's not home, you will follow us. Me? Favor asked, shocked. But I did nothing. You are living with him, they replied. You will explain everything at the station. That was the moment Favor's word broke. She sat in the back seat of the police van, shaking like a leaf. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She couldn't believe Emmanuel had done this. Why didn't he tell me? Why did he lie again? When they got to the station, Favor tried to explain. But the officer said she would remain there until Emmanuel showed up. Favor had to call her mother. Mama, her voice broke. Her mother didn't shout. She didn't get angry. She just said, I warned you. Later that night, Emmanuel came to the station. He looked scared. He told the police it was a misunderstanding. It was just a loan, he said. Victoria shouted, You're a thief. Favor sat in silence, watching everything. The man she loved was a liar and a cheat. She cried all the way home. At home, Emmanuel begged her. Favor, please. It was a mistake. I didn't mean to hurt you. Favor sat on the edge of the bed. Her hands were shaking. You used me, she said softly. You used her too. I swear, I love you, he said. It's just that things are hard. Favor looked into his eyes. She still loved him, but something had cracked inside her. That night, she cried herself to sleep. But the next morning, she helped him pay the 600,000 Nigerian nairas. Her heart was bleeding, but she still helped him. Love had made her blind again. Weeks passed. They smiled like nothing happened. But Favor was not the same. She started thinking more. She started watching Emmanuel closely. She didn't trust him like before. One hot afternoon, while cleaning Emmanuel's wardrobe, Favor found something hidden behind his clothes. It was a small blue envelope. She opened it. Inside were 2 birth certificates. Names: Precious Emmanuel, age 4. Peter Emmanuel, age 2. Father's name, Emmanuel. Mother's name, not Favor. Favor's heart stopped. "What is this?" she whispered. She sat on the bed, shaking. For 10 minutes, she didn't move. When Emmanuel came home, she held out the papers. "What is this?" Emmanuel looked at them and sighed. "I wanted to tell you. They are my kids." Favor gasped. "You mean, you had children before you met me? And you never said anything?" "I was scared," Emmanuel said. "I thought you would leave me." Favor's legs became weak. She sat down and held her chest. "You lied again," she said. "Every time, it's a new lie." He walked closer. "I promise, that's the last secret. Please forgive me." Favor turned away. Her heart was breaking into pieces, but she still said, "Okay. I forgive you." But deep down, something had died inside her. A week later, Emmanuel said, "I want my son, Peter, to come live with us. His mother is going abroad." Favor stared at him. "Here? In this house?" "Yes," he replied. "He's a good boy. You'll love him." She didn't want to say yes. But she did. Peter moved in. Favor cooked for him. She helped him with homework. She even bought him school uniform. But every day, her heart grew colder. This was not the life she wanted. She was carrying Emmanuel's life on her shoulders. And he didn't even say thank you. Favor's family heard what happened. Her sister cried, "How can you stay with a man who hides children?" Her mother begged her again, "Leave before it's too late." But Favor said nothing. She was tired of talking. She was tired of crying. She had given everything. And gotten nothing in return. But she still stayed. Because love, even when broken, can be hard to let go. Every time she looked at Peter, she remembered the lies. Emmanuel had kept 2 children secret. He had lied to her face. And now, one of those children was living in her house like nothing happened. Emmanuel, as usual, did nothing. He would sit on the couch all day, pressing his phone. Favor still paid rent. Favor still bought food. Favor even paid Peter's school fees. She didn't complain out loud. But inside, her heart was boiling. Sometimes, she would go into the bathroom, lock the door, sit on the toilet lid, and cry without sound. "What kind of life is this?" she would whisper. "Is this the man I chose over my family?" But even with the pain, she stayed. Why? Because she was afraid of starting over. One Saturday morning, Favor went to the market. She left Peter at home with Emmanuel. She returned early because she forgot her purse. When she got to the gate, she heard giggles. Not Peter's voice. A woman's voice. She entered quietly and tiptoed to the bedroom. She pushed the door slightly. And what she saw made her body freeze. Emmanuel was in bed with their neighbor. Her name was Cynthia. She lived 2 doors away. She had always smiled too much at Emmanuel. Now Favor understood why. Favor dropped her bag. The door opened fully. Cynthia jumped up, covering herself. Emmanuel looked shocked. It's not what it looks like. Favor screamed. You're a devil, Emmanuel. You're crazy, he shouted back. Always shouting like a madwoman. Favor's hands were shaking. I left the house for just 1 hour. You have no right to enter my room without knocking, Emmanuel said. Favor blinked in disbelief. Your room. This is my house. I paid for everything in here. That was when it happened. Emmanuel slapped her hard. Her face turned to the side. For a moment, everything was silent. Even Cynthia gasped. Favor slowly looked at him. Tears filled her eyes. So, after everything, after the food, the rent, the debts, the child, now you beat me. You have hot temper, he shouted. You should learn to respect a man. Favor didn't say a word. She walked into the kitchen, packed her knife set, the ones she bought for her baking business, and left the house. She went straight to her friend's place and cried till morning. For 1 week, she didn't return. Emmanuel called and called. She didn't pick. He sent messages. I'm sorry. It was the devil. I will never do it again. Favor didn't reply. But after 7 days, she went back, not for Emmanuel, but for Peter. The boy was innocent. When she opened the door, the house was messy. Plates were unwashed. The room smelled bad. Peter looked hungry. Favor sighed and went into the kitchen to cook. That evening, Emmanuel returned and knelt before her. Please, Favor, he cried. Don't leave me. I need you. Favor looked at him. She felt nothing. No hate. No anger. But also, no love. From that day, something changed in Favor. She stopped talking much. She stopped asking questions. She stopped caring. When Emmanuel said he needed transport money, she didn't respond. When Peter needed new shoes, she didn't rush to buy. She became cold. Not wicked. Just empty. One morning, Peter came to her. Auntie Favor, why don't you smile anymore? Favor tried to smile. I'm tired, dear. Tired of what? The little boy asked. Favor wanted to say. Tired of your father. Tired of this fake love. Tired of living a lie. But she only said, nothing, Peter. Go and read your book. The boy left. But her heart stayed heavy. Then things got worse. Emmanuel stopped pretending. He didn't look for jobs again. He didn't say sorry. He didn't try to make her smile. Favor started saving small money secretly. She stopped telling him about her business. She opened another bank account, one Emmanuel didn't know about. She knew this story was ending soon. And she wanted to be ready. One evening, Peter came home crying. What's wrong? Favor asked. The school sent me home. Daddy hasn't paid school fees. Favor looked at Emmanuel. He was watching football. She said nothing. That night, she asked him, why haven't you paid his school fees? Emmanuel laughed. I don't have money. Favor nodded. She walked into the room and brought out Peter's school receipt. Nigerian Naira 35000, she whispered. She dropped the money on the table. But she didn't do it out of love. She did it for the child. Even Peter knew something had changed. He stopped calling her mommy. He started calling her auntie. And Favor didn't correct him. Every day, Favor felt like a stranger in her own life. She had loved this man with everything. She gave her money, her heart, her body, her peace. And in return, he gave her lies, secrets, shame, pain. One day, she stood in front of the mirror and asked herself, who am I now? She didn't know. All she knew was, she was tired. Very, very tired. The days after Emmanuel's betrayal with the neighbor were like walking through fire for Favor. She no longer saw him as the quiet, gentle man she once loved. Every time she looked at him, all she saw were his lies. But Emmanuel didn't seem to care. He still sat on the couch with his phone, watching football or chatting with strangers online. He didn't notice how quiet Favor had become. He didn't notice how her smile had disappeared. He didn't even care that Peter's school bag was old or that his shoes had holes. It was always Favor who carried the burden. One night, Emmanuel returned home late. He had the smell of perfume on his shirt, perfume that wasn't Favor's. She didn't ask questions. She didn't shout. Instead, she just looked at him and said, "One day, Emmanuel, you will regret this." He laughed. "You always talk too much. If you don't like this house, you can leave." Favor's chest tightened. Leave? She remembered how she furnished the entire apartment, the curtains, the bed, the chairs, even the TV. She remembered the months she spent struggling to pay the rent. And now he told her to leave. She swallowed her tears and walked into the kitchen. That night, she couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling and whispered, "God, give me strength. I don't know how much longer I can take this." 2 weeks later, things got worse. Favor came home from a business trip, carrying a bag of goods she bought from the market. As she climbed the stairs to the apartment, she saw Emmanuel outside, standing close to another woman. They were laughing, too closely, too warmly. When Emmanuel saw her, he quickly walked away, pretending like nothing happened. Favor's heart burned, but she said nothing. She just dropped her bags inside and went to take a bath. That night, when she asked him about the woman, he exploded. "Why are you always monitoring me?" he shouted. "You think you own me because you pay rent? You think I'm your slave?" Favor looked at him, stunned. "All I do is care for you. Is this how you repay me? Care? You are just too controlling," he shouted louder. "I'm tired of this." Before she could say another word, he raised his hand again. This time, she blocked a slap. "Don't you dare!" Favor shouted, her voice shaking. "If you ever touch me again, Emmanuel, I swear, it will be your last." He stared at her, shocked. He had never seen her like that. For the first time, she wasn't crying. She was angry, very angry. The next morning, Favor didn't cook. She didn't wash his clothes. She didn't even talk to him. Emmanuel grew angry. "So, you're now forming madam in my house?" Favor turned and looked at him with cold eyes. "This is my house, Emmanuel. I paid for everything here. Don't forget that." He opened his mouth to argue, but no words came out. Days passed. Peter noticed the tension. The boy, who once ran to Favor for hugs, now stayed silent, hiding in his corner. "Daddy," he asked one day, "why don't you and Auntie smile anymore?" Emmanuel didn't answer. Favor did. She bent down, touched Peter's face, and said softly, "Some people forget how to be kind when they're given love." The boy didn't understand, but her words cut through the air. One evening, Emmanuel returned home and tried to take the house key from Favor. "I need the key," he said. "I lost mine." Favor frowned. "Why? Where are you going at this time? Why do you ask so many questions?" "Just give me the key," he shouted. "No," Favor said firmly. "If you lost your key, we can make a new one together tomorrow." Emmanuel's face twisted in anger. "Give me the key," he yelled, trying to snatch it from her hand. Favor held it tight. "You're not getting this key today." Suddenly, he grabbed her wrist. The fight began. He pulled. She pulled back. He shouted. She shouted louder. In the struggle, Favor's bag fell to the floor, spilling her money and items everywhere. Emmanuel tried to push her, but this time, Favor pushed back. She had had enough. "I'm done with you, Emmanuel," she screamed. "Do you hear me? I'm done." Emmanuel froze, shocked by her voice. "I have suffered enough for you," Favor continued, her voice trembling with both anger and pain. "I fed you when you had nothing. I paid your debts. I clothed your son. And all you gave me is pain. I am not your slave." Emmanuel tried to speak, but no words came out. Favor's breathing was heavy. She picked up her phone and dialed a number. Within 30 minutes, her brother and mother arrived. When Emmanuel saw them, his face changed. He tried to act calm. "Good evening, Mama," he said with a fake smile. But Mama wasn't smiling. Her eyes were full of fire. "Emmanuel," she said slowly, "you have disrespected my daughter for the last time." "Mama, it's not what you think," Emmanuel began. "Shut your mouth," Mama snapped. "This girl left her family for you. She gave you everything. And you repay her with lies and beatings. No more." Her brother stepped forward. "Favor, pack your things. Tonight." Favor's hands trembled as she packed her clothes. She folded the curtains she bought, rolled up the rug, and even unplugged the TV she paid for. Emmanuel tried to stop her. "You can't leave me like this. Where will I start from?" Favor looked him in the eyes. "That's your problem, Emmanuel. You should have thought of that before cheating, lying, and raising your hand on me." She zipped her last bag and turned to her mother. "I'm ready," she said. That night, as she walked out of the apartment, she didn't look back. Not at the couch she bought. Not at the table she decorated. Not even at Emmanuel. Her heart was heavy but free. For the first time in months, she felt like she could breathe. But deep inside, Favor knew this was not the end. There was still something burning in Emmanuel's eyes as she left. A shadow. A threat. A man who wouldn't let go easily. Favor moved back to her mother's house that same night. The moment she stepped into her old room, the tears came like rain. She cried on her mother's lap. She cried in the shower. She cried until there were no more tears left. Her mother said gently, "My daughter, you are not weak. You just loved the wrong man too much." Favor nodded, but her heart still felt like broken glass. She couldn't believe all she had gone through. How did I become this girl? How did I forget myself so easily? How did I ignore every warning? For days, she didn't leave the house. She refused calls from friends. She didn't touch her business. She just slept, cried, and slept again. But slowly, she started getting better. Her little sister would sit beside her and braid her hair, saying, "You're still the best person I know." Her mother would bring food to her room, saying, "One day, you'll laugh again." Her brother even bought her a new notebook and said, "Start planning your next move. You're still the boss lady." And little by little, Favor's heart began to heal. Then one day, Emmanuel called. At first, she didn't want to answer. But something told her, "Pick. Face it." She picked up. "Hello," her voice was dry. "Favor, please," Emmanuel began. "I know I messed up. But I've changed. Come back, please." Favor stayed quiet. "Peter misses you," he added. Favor took a deep breath. "I don't miss you," she said. "And I don't miss the pain." "Please," Emmanuel begged, "I'll be better." Favor shook her head even though he couldn't see it. "No, Emmanuel. I already gave you all of me. And you destroyed it. There's nothing left to give." She ended the call. 2 days later, she got another call, this time from the landlord of the apartment. "Madam Favor," he said, "Emmanuel is refusing to pay rent. He said you were the one who rented the house." Favor sighed. Please, sir. That house was under my name, but I don't live there anymore. I've moved out. But he said you'll still pay. Let him find another person to lie to, she said and dropped the call. That night, she blocked Emmanuel's number for good. Favor decided to focus on her life again. She reopened her baking business. Her customers were happy to see her again. One woman said, "On, where have you been? I've missed your meat pie." Another said, "You look even more beautiful now." Favor smiled. She was slowly becoming herself again. She also reopened her hair salon. She painted the walls pink and added fairy lights. It felt fresh, like a new beginning. She started posting her cakes on Instagram again. And to her surprise, people began ordering more than ever before. She made money. She laughed again. She danced while baking. She played music in the salon. Favor was back. But one day, something happened. It was a Sunday evening. She had just finished baking a big birthday cake when she heard a knock. She opened the door. It was Emmanuel. Her heart skipped. He looked rough. His clothes were old. His eyes had lost their shine. "Favor," he said, "I'm sorry for coming here. I just wanted to see you. One last time." She didn't reply. "I have nothing," he said. "Since you left, everything crashed. I lost my friends. My family doesn't pick my calls. Even Peter's mother came back and took him away." Favor looked at him with calm eyes. "I'm not here to laugh at you," she said. "But I want you to know, this is what happens when you destroy good things." "I know," Emmanuel whispered. "And I'm truly sorry. I was blind. But now I see." Favor nodded. "I forgive you." He looked surprised. "You do?" "Yes," she said. "But forgiveness is not the same as returning." She stepped outside and stood in the sunlight. "I've moved on, Emmanuel. I've built myself again. And this time, I will never break myself for anyone." He lowered his head. "I understand." She looked at him one last time. Then she turned and walked back inside. And locked the door behind her. That night, she sat in her room and wrote in her new notebook. "Dear me. You gave love. You got hurt. But you rose again. You're not a failure. You're a fighter. And your future is still bright." She smiled and closed the book. Then her phone rang. It was a customer ordering a wedding cake. Favor stood up, wiped her hands, and said, "I'm ready." 1 year later, Favor had opened a new cake shop with 3 staff. She even started teaching baking classes to girls who wanted to learn. She no longer thought of Emmanuel. When people asked about her past, she just smiled and said, "God used the wrong man to lead me to the right path." Children from the area would come to her shop and say, "Auntie Favor, tell us how you became so strong." And she would kneel beside them and say, "By learning when to walk away, and never going back." Moral of the story: never fall so deep in love that you forget who you are. Love should build you, not break you. And sometimes, the greatest strength is knowing when to say goodbye. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.